Hey everybody, this is the ManCalledMegz returning back to the world of Paladins after a fairly protracted period away from the game. And I wanted to do a video that kind of explained, well, why I left the game. And maybe not explain why I came back, because I came back at the request of the comment section. But really to kind of explain what piqued my interest really about coming back to it at the moment. So I left the game... maybe 6 months. Might be about that long. Maybe a little longer. I'll have a check later on. But just as Torvald had been released, the test maps had been added into the game as choosable. There've been a few sort of updates to how you could go about choosing a game in bits and pieces, and that had looked like it was going to kind of save my interest because the test map concept was really good. I found that very interesting. Gave me, some new things to do in the game, and I was getting very bored about playing the same sort of 3 maps. Ended up going on all of the sort of water temple maps seemingly every single time, and I just got very bored of playing the same kind of game every single time. And really what kind of killed it for me was that just after sort of Torvald came out, there was a big rush of nerfs to a load of the champions, and one of which was a big nerf to Fernando. And although it probably doesn't show on my channel, when I actually play the game, I have a tendency to actually main Fernando. I really, really like Fernando, probably more than I like Makoa, although I've always really liked Makoa as well ever since he dropped into the game. And it just kind of... I played a couple of games and was just like, wow, that's really stomped on the real play style of that character that I really kind of enjoyed. And so I was just kind of like, well, do I want to relearn how to play my favourite champion when there's quite a lot of other things that I could be doing with my life, quite a lot of other games out there in the world that I could be picking up and playing. So I just kind of, unconsciously really, I didn't, choose to say and do a big, I am leaving Paladins, I shall never play this piece of garbage ever again. It was more a kind of a case that was just like, I don't like it at the moment, let's put it down for, a few weeks, and then we can kind of come back to it a bit, maybe a bit refreshed. And really the problem came was that I just kept up with really kind of what was going on our Paladins on Reddit as a vague idea about what was sort of happening in the game. And it really felt that the more posts I saw, it was more game balancing changes and adding new characters, which every single time there was a new character that seemed to be released, it unbalanced the game again. And everybody played that character, and that character was OP for too long for it to be enjoyable. You waited until that they were nerfed, and generally the nerf then killed the playstyle, and so that champion wasn't kind of as enjoyable as it was when you first played it and first got to use it, because obviously when things are OP, the game's easy. It means you can sort of jump in and do loads of damage and feel awesome, and that's good in and of itself for a little while. And yes, I'm not saying don't balance the game, that would be kind of ridiculous, but what I am saying is that constantly doing that, and the sheer volume of champions that have come out within that sort of period of time has just been so much that it's put me off coming back in, because I'm just like, well, I don't know where the balance of this game is. Do you know what I mean? When there were like 8 to 10 champions, it felt like making little tuning adjustments to the game was not going to be the most difficult thing in the world. And why should it be in reality? You've only got to look at what your interactions between that one character plus the 7 to 9 other characters were, and half the time, especially if you're talking about support champions, you're interacting with characters in a very specific way. It doesn't necessarily affect the game overly. Same with frontline. It's really only the sort of damage flankers where you have to make sure that they aren't too ridiculously overpowered and can come in and turn a game totally on its head because they've got some outlandish Q or F ability that is unstoppable and can't be defended against. So what I'm saying is really that the pace of getting new champions out put me off the game, and it put me off the game in another way because it seemed to be that instead of kind of just releasing the champions and them being out there and easy to get, it was getting harder and harder to unlock the champions as well. It wasn't that you could, release a new champion and then, they'd be there successfully picked. In my initial return to the game, I looked at the champion selection screen and I could, see rotation around Lex at the moment. So clearly there's so many champions and people aren't unlocking all of the champions like they used to. It used to be that when a new champion came out, you'd unlock them immediately, and everybody would have them unlocked within a few days of them being released. And clearly that can't be happening, otherwise there would be no reason to put the champions in rotation. So that alone goes to me to say, like, why are we releasing so many new champions? Why is Hi-Rez stuck on this cycle of saying new champions is best, doing things interesting with the game maybe not so important to them? And that's kind of really where I ended up in this cycle of staying away from the game rather than sort of picking it up, seeing what it was like, and maybe putting it back down again. I just wasn't interested in something that felt like it was going to be changing every 5 minutes. And I have to put that kind of squarely at the door of Hi-Rez, really. I don't feel that they're necessarily developing the right aspects of the game. It feels kind of like, we're pushing it too hard in the, and I hate to say the name of it, but in the Overwatch style where it's getting fast paced, millions of champions, and the the feel of the game changes too rapidly for me. I like to understand the game and get into it, and I want to be good at it because I kind of understand how the game works, not just because I've played a champion for 26,000 hours and I instinctively muscle memory every single action that champion can do. So you may ask yourself, really, why have I come back to the game? Well, yeah, like I say, there was kind of a request from somebody to do some more Paladins videos, stating that the game had changed a lot, which wasn't, I'll admit, the biggest motivator for me to kind of come back to the game, but it was, something I can't kind of ignore. People at the time taking the time to sub to me as a really tiny little channel. I want to do kind of content that people are interested in seeing, and I got a lot of subs for my Paladins content, and I've kind of let those people down by not doing any more Paladins content. So I wanted to come back, and what I've kind of felt was that I could kind of give my thoughts on a returning player who's been out of the game for a while, coming back and seeing how the game feels to them. And the footage you're watching in the background of this at the moment is okay. I was going to say it's my first game. It's not my first game. I played a quick game of what's the game mode? The one where you have to hold the position for the whole entire game. So, it's first to like 300 seconds on the point rather than the traditional siege or payload mode. With Makoa, just to kind of feel whether I had a champion to come back to, because I played a quick game of Fernando and wasn't all that fussed about it. But Makoa was always a bigger damage champion, so I thought I could get a better feel for how the game has changed in terms of sort of damage and all those bits and pieces. So I played that and I did okay. It wasn't wasn't great or anything. It was certainly not as well as this game ends up going. But it kind of gave me confidence that at least this one champion I could play games and get to grips with what has changed, what things are different, and how these different things are going to work in the latest version. And what can I say? I enjoyed it. I had a really good time, actually. I'd kind of forgotten the bit that I liked about Paladins as a game was, that the action was fairly fast paced, but getting into it wasn't ridiculously difficult. You could kind of pick up a champion and learn what they were about quite quickly, and then it kind of stuck with you without having to be a kind of CS:GO Twitch fest of first to click their left mouse button wins. And thankfully that's kind of remained, and that's what I liked about Paladins to begin with. It's why when I started playing it, back in, we're talking pre-patch 30 here, so we're at what, patch 55, so nearly half the patches ago. It was a slower paced FPS game, sort of slightly more tactical about when you push your triggers and your abilities and your ultimates. That is not come back into the game, and I'm kind of sad for Paladins for that, because I think the game was much more interesting when it was like that. And I feel that, especially this map, the tight corridor system, I don't think also does Paladins any favours particularly. It pushes it into feeling more generically first-person shooter, and the hero genre, this sort of character hero genre, I think benefits when it doesn't feel like it's part of that Twitch shooter kind of area. It's character driven, so why not let people enjoy playing as the characters rather than saying it's about which character kills the opponent faster or has the OP ability that means that it's nearly impossible to lose, or you rack up the biggest kill streak compared to everybody else. And that was another reason why I kind of left the game in the first place, was that it was nearly impossible to get anybody to play support because everybody wanted to do damage, wanted to kill people. It was just becoming more and more like a big deathmatch where people ignored the objective. And I don't know if that's particularly changed. I think I'll have to play more games, play more Siege games and Payload games to kind of really understand whether the quality of the players has upped in the continued popularity increase of the game. But certainly from this game, I felt a little bit better about it. I felt it was a little less of a sort of cluster fudge around a choke point in the map, or that everybody kind of the game was entirely balanced around who respawned 3 people at the same time, so that you could en masse rush a point, and that essentially turned the whole entire tide around, because you just pushed people off of the point and then you could never get back. That might be a map thing, possibly. Like I say, I haven't played this map all that much, so it'd be interesting to see what things like the lumber mill and things like that are with the new champions, and whether that's changed overly. But like I said, I had a good time doing this, so I think I will probably continue to do Paladins as a series and bring more content on it. I certainly want to kind of bring my thoughts on all of the new champions. I hadn't read up about any of the new champions from this, so you may be questioning some of the decisions I make in this game. Some of the people I choose to go one-on-one with, or sit around a specific area, trying to fight either groups of people or stuff. With time and understanding them, hopefully I'll have a better grasp of who I should be focusing on. But I did all right here. I got over 30 kills total, and only 9 deaths, I think. When it comes up at the end, we'll see. So even for somebody out there who's been out of the game, it's possible to get back in and do okay with, based on what you were doing before. I need to completely relearn the card system, because I went in and I have seen these big gold cards that seem to be like huge, massive bonuses for the champions, of which I've pretty much only got the default. Essence is a new thing for me. I have no idea about what I should be doing for that. I think it's used to craft cards, but I haven't really had a look at it. I've got like 186,000 of it, I think, but I don't think that's actually going to go as far as I hope it will be. And obviously I need to kind of learn anything else that's kind of new and that's changed in the last sort of 15-20 patches, of which I've kind of been out of the loop for. Actually, no, wait, it's not going to be that long. No, probably about 11 patches. I think I went away around patch 44-ish, give or take. I think that sounds like something that sounds about right. So, yeah, if you're still subbed and you like the Paladins content, there will be more coming. I'm I will try and do it more as a sort of like we're doing with this video, a talking video where I'm explaining what I make of the game, and then once kind of all that's out of the way and I'm back into the game proper, we'll do a few more montage stuff with the champions that I'm enjoying playing with. We'll do probably some more guides maybe. I enjoyed doing the Huey's videos on the champions, so I might go through and do that. Although, as this system has proven, the champions change so often that is often not relevant for all of the amount of time. My Grover video still, I think, has him as a damage and not a support, so that shows how long ago and how quickly it's changed since then. But yeah, good news for all you Paladins guys out there who have enjoyed the Paladins content. It is coming back. I am going to be doing more of it, so hopefully you stick with me, and we'll work through this process of getting me back into the game together. Keep an eye out for me in game. ManCalledMegz. I'm still the same me. So if you want to try and find me and friend me, add me onto your party lists. Love to do that. Love to play some games with you guys. That'd be great. And I will also be trying to look to do some more content for some other games as and when they sort of rotate into my general playing routine. So thanks very much for keeping with me, for keeping the faith. Keep your eye out for new videos coming soon. And as always, I'm the ManCalledMegz. We'll see you again. Like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.